Okay, today Alex Jones was ordered to cough up, let's be realistic about this, roughly $1 billion between the Sandy Hook families. He basically spewed his conspiracy theory that the Sandy Hook massacre was a complete hoax. But not only did he do that, he went after a lot of the families on personal grounds. Okay, he just vehemently went after the individual families. And it got to the point where they just flat out said, fuck you, we're going to sue. Now, Sandy Hook Elementary School, I think, was early childhood, pre-K through 3. So these are extremely young children, extremely young, that were murdered. Now, my elementary school went from pre-K to 6. Some schools in my hometown now, they didn't back in my day, but they do today, go from pre-K to 8, so they add on junior high school, 7th, 8th grade. There's a couple of junior high school, there's one school in my hometown that goes from pre-K flat out through 12. You go from age 6 to age 18 in one school. It just had their first commencement for the high school kids a couple years ago. Yeah. Now, my elementary school had about 400 kids in it. Keep in mind, my hometown has a lot of schools, a lot of kids. In fact, the Board of Ed in my hometown is actually bigger than every other city department combined. Now, my elementary school, pre-K through 6, had about 400 students, so you figure pre-K through 3, maybe 200 students, but also the town is smaller, so, but, okay. Now, if you believe the Sandy Hook, and I've heard of so many fucking, if I had $1 for every conspiracy theory that I heard in my life, I would not need to work a day in my life. I would literally not need to work a single day. I've heard a million conspiracy theories, okay? Mostly the Kennedy assassination. Kennedy's still alive. The moon landing was staged, okay? Here's what you need to believe. However many students attended the school, however many teachers, other faculty, the janitor worked at the school, however many police officers, firefighters, and paramedics responded to the school, however many people, most of the media or other people, brought cameras to the school. Okay? Whoever took the bodies away, or alleged to the bodies away, medical examiners, undertakers, okay, you would have to believe that several thousand people, the youngest being 6 years old, conspired to create this hoax. Several thousand, okay? Kids that would have to be like, well, I survived the school shooting, even though I didn't. Okay? Adults, married adults that would just lie about having a child. They would say, well, I had 4 children. One was killed at Sandy Hook. When in reality, I only had 3 children. Okay? So they make up a fake child, or they take pictures from wherever the fuck and be like, hey, I had this child, and my child was killed at Sandy Hook when... Okay? You would have to believe all that. Okay? It's one thing if 2 or 3 guys do something together and they cover it up or they make up a fake thing. Okay? That could be feasible. But for several thousand people, the youngest being 6 years old, to fake a mass shooting and fake mass death and, parents that lie about having kids, okay? You have to be an uber conspiracy theorist. Okay? And Alex Jones does not help the Republican Party, nor does he help the Libertarian movement, or nor does he help President Trump, nor does he help the Second Amendment. He just goes out of his way to prove that the far left is right about us. I mean, he's actually doing their job for them. Now, let's be realistic about the St. Hook massacre. Politicians, chief among them Andrew Cuomo, let's be realistic about that, hate guns, hate gun owners, and just look for any excuse. The New York State SAFE Act, someone wrote that proposal years earlier and put it on a desk. And they submitted it right after the St. Hook massacre. Andrew Cuomo honestly believed that the Congress the next day was going to revoke the Second Amendment entirely and just take everyone's gun away. And he's like, whatever gun control law they pass might actually be worse. Okay? Politicians like Andrew Cuomo were just dancing in blood, okay? They could not contain their orgasm, how happy they were these children died. They were happy these children died because they had an excuse to pass the law they wanted to pass. Okay? This is the same far left that supports abortion up to the moment of birth. In fact, Andrew Cuomo, literally 2 seconds after ranting away like a fucking lunatic about how evil all gun owners were, he literally called for babies to be tortured to death. Okay? People that have pistol grips on the rifle killing children is wrong. All gun owners are bad. Okay? We need to torture fully developed babies to death. Like within 2 seconds of that. Okay? And he lobbied for several years to make it legal to kill fully developed babies in the womb up until the moment of birth. Okay? And he got his wish. He eventually took several more years, but he eventually got his wish. Okay? And now in my home state, if a baby is in the birth canal, the one mother's pushing the baby out of her vagina, and she says, I changed my mind, okay? You can legally reach into her vagina and kill her baby in the vagina as it comes out, as the baby comes out the birth canal. Okay? That's how evil Andrew Cuomo was. Okay? The politicians that sang and danced about how wonderful it was that children were dead. Okay? They loved dead children. Okay? That's a fact. Okay? Now, the shooter, I'm not going to mention his name. I don't want to give him that credit. But his mother literally bought him guns while she was trying to put him in a mental institution. Now, the definition of a straw purchase, the federal definition, is you buy a gun legally, but you give the gun immediately to someone that you know should not have it. Okay? And lots of parents buy guns for their kids. A lot do. Some buy their guns for their kids when they're 18 to 21. Some buy like a .22 rifle for their kid and keeps their kid plinking. Some guys buy hunting rifles for their kids and take their kids out deer hunting when they're 9 years old. Okay? It happens. But she was trying as hard as she could to get her son into a mental institution. So, if you are trying as hard as you can to get your son into a mental institution, that tells me that you know for a fact he should not have a gun. And by buying him a gun, you are by definition committing a straw purchase. Okay? So you can criticize that. Okay? Likewise, in other shootings like Columbine and Uvalde, you can criticize the police response. Okay? You can also criticize, and I know for a fact I do, these fucking gun control organizations that encourage parents who are in dire straits, mentally fucking unhinged, to file lawsuits they know they can't win. Example, there was a lawsuit filed against Lucky Gunner about the Dark Knight movie theater shooting. Okay, the shooter, okay, criminals can't have body armor. Well, the full definition is convicted felons can't have body armor. He wasn't a felon at the time. Okay, the other thing was Lucky Gunner should have known that he was a psychopath and should have known that he wanted to go out and kill people. How? He ordered ammunition online, okay? Which is legal at the federal level and is legal in some states. It was legal here, but it's not anymore. How was Lucky Gunner supposed to know that he was a psychopath? Because he ordered ammunition online? Okay, there are guys that order ammunition online. They order 1,000 rounds per caliber. And they have, a 9mm for concealed carry, a 45 for home defense, a 30-06 for deer hunting, or a 22 for competition. So they order 1,000 rounds per caliber. Okay. There are guys that might be really hardcore, no-nonsense shooters that might order 1,000 rounds of 9mm a month. Literally. Now, if that person had said, now that I have my ammunition, I'm going to go to a movie theater. Or if he had said, I need the ammunition by this day because I got to kill a lot of people in a movie theater. At that point, Lucky Gunner would have been obligated to report that. But as it stands, Lucky Gunner, there was no way they could know logically. So how about this, okay? Whatever gun control, I think that was the Brady campaign. But whatever gun control organization that was, that talked them into that lawsuit. They talked them into the lawsuit. They helped them set it up a little bit. And then they themselves backed out of the lawsuit. They knew the lawsuit was going to fail. And when the lawsuit failed because there were no legal grounds for it, regardless of how you feel emotionally, the judge even said, this is not the venue. Maybe argue in the legislature, but this quorum is not the venue to argue, these matters, okay? How was Lucky Gunner going to know he was a psychopath? How are they going to know that? They should have known. Well, how? Okay, court isn't about should have. Court is about facts. And the judge threw the case out and even told him to pay Lucky Gunner's expenses. And the gun control lobby held them up. Oh, look at these fucking poor people. Their family members were murdered, and now they have to pay the Merchant of Death money for their lawsuit. Okay? You can criticize that, okay? But one thing you should not do, okay? And a lot of the families in Sandy Hook support gun control now. But it should be known that there are guys up in Connecticut, especially in that area, that say, you know what, we're not going to give our guns. And there was that father that banged the desk, boom. And there was that Asian guy who was now a new American. He said, we should not give up our rights. Okay? One thing you should not do is criticize people whose fucking 5-year-old children were murdered. I mean, that's one thing you should not do. Okay? And on top of that, it's one thing if Alex Ross criticized them and said, now you're just a bunch of liberal monkeys, or now you're just a bunch of liberal talking heads, or now you're liberal puppets. Okay, you're puppets to the far left now. That would have been one thing. But for Alex Jones to continually drag their names to the dirt and continually say that it's a hoax, their kids never existed, or their kids are still alive somewhere, or it's a fucking fantasy, they made it up, they staged a false flag operation, okay? For him to continuously say that in the public forum, okay, that is just so fucking sick, okay? Criticize the politicians because they're scumbags. Criticize the gun control advocates because they're scumbags too. Criticize the Brady campaign because they're scumbags too. But draw the line there. Thank you.